Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Well, good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me? Welcome. My name is David Hassler. I'm the director of the Wick Poetry Center. And we are thrilled to host this evening's reading Black Voices Matter, an open mic, and to celebrate a collaborative project that we launched with the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at Kent State University and the Department of Pan-African Studies, in support of racial justice here at Kent and in our community and around the globe. This has been a project that's been dear to our hearts, and we're so appreciative of collaborating with Dr. Amwaba Gooden, our interim vice president of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Professor Motabu Okanta, assistant chair and associate professor in the Department of Pan-African Studies and a wonderful poet. I'd like to ask Dr. Gooden to say a few words of welcome to begin, and then we'll have a few other prefatory comments, and then we'll begin into our open mic and our reading this evening. I want to remind everyone that to keep themselves muted, but when we move into the open mic, we'll announce an order of readers, and you'll be poised to read for three minutes or so. And if we have chance, we'll go around a second time. So we are thrilled for this opportunity, and I'd like to welcome to our evening Dr. Amwaba Gooden.
Thank you, David. Hello and good night, everyone. I'm thrilled and honored to be here to hear poetry. And I'm honored to collaborate with the Wick Poetry Center, David Hassler in particular. And thank you, Georgie, for all that you've done, as well as Motabu in bringing this forward. You know, we're here because there is a racial reckoning in America and actually in the globe in a way that there hasn't been before. So this is really new in how the nation and the world is responding. And I think the creative arts and creative expression is one of the things that we often don't think about, right? Or walk to or come to when we think about racial justice. And I'm experiencing it in this space as restorative justice. It's a way of healing ourselves, but also in being in conversation with each other about the way forward in a way that relaxes the mind, body, and spirit. So I'm honored to be here on behalf of the division and working with Motabu, David, and Georgie. And special thank you also to Khalil and Durisha for all of their hard work in terms of pulling this together. So I look forward to the evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gooden. I'd like Professor Motabu Okanta to say a few words, who has been instrumental in launching this project and here at Kent State, bringing so many incredible Black poets to our campus, a history of that here, and a long history here at Kent State as a poet and a professor. Motabu?
Thank you, David, and thank you, Georgie, and thank you, Dr. Gooden, Khalil, Barisha. You know, the city of Kent, Kent State University, and the Department of Pan-African Studies. Poetry has always been alive and well here. And there is a rich history of both students, community people, as well as faculty on campus who have participated in what is a rich tradition in poetry. And I think now, unlike at any other time, we are truly in a time for poets. And the idea that Black voices matter I think is special. And I think the work that the Wick Poetry Center has done for all of these years is special. And it's been an honor and a privilege for me to be a part of it, both as a student and to be back here at Kent as a professor. I think the arts in general, poetry in particular, allows us to communicate with each other in ways that are essential, because we all have stories to tell. And I think if we embrace each other's story, we can navigate these stormy waters that we find ourselves in at this time. And I think we can get on the other side of it. And the beauty of poets is to take the pain, the joy, to translate that in such a way that those who hear us can experience both and get on the other side, because it's like going up in an airplane. You can go up in clouds, but on the other side of the clouds, the sun is there. And so I think the poets can help us get there. So thank you. And all of you who are tuned in, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Okanta. And we have a great crowd tonight. 29 folks are tuned in, and this is a really robust crowd. I'd like to ask, we're so thrilled to have this project led by two students, two Kent State students, Darisha Hendricks and Khalil Cage. Darisha is one of our Wick interns and reached out to Khalil to lead a series of workshops. And I'd like, in preparation and in response to the platform that we built for this project, Black Voices Matter. So I'd love for Darisha and Khalil to talk a little bit about the origins of this project and the beautiful poem by Sonia Sanchez that is the model. And then they have a special treat, a reading for us to launch the open mic tonight. Darisha and Khalil, thank you.
Hi, everybody. It was a really big honor just to be a part of this project and to see how it kind of took feet and like ran. It was awesome. Khalil, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank y'all for coming and hanging out with us, first and foremost. But yes, it was an honor to be able, I'm really glad Risha asked me to help her on this mission. And kind of like what Risha said, it was awesome to be able to just start it and then see how many people really cared to come and show up and be a part of the program.
Exactly. So I have the group poem that me and Khalil put together, and it is titled Black Liberation. We don't want the world to forget us. They have turned their backs to our misery. We want our people to breathe. These voices have not gone mute, the ones you put 6 feet underneath, the voices of generational trauma, as sharp as the knife used to cut the fruit from my ancestors' tree. These voices are the rafts in the waters we were told were too rough to swim. This is the voice of those confined behind the red lines that will end white supremacy, economic injustice, and environmental racism. There will be liberation. This is a love that expands, envelops, and protects, like a mother holding a child within her womb. A love passed down through generations of purpose. We want to matter. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Risha. That, just to clarify for all the folks here tonight, that's a group poem that you scripted from the workshops?
Yes, it is.
Would you talk just a little bit about those workshops, just for those who didn't have a chance to participate, and that process?
It was really nice to see everybody come together. We would bring the poem and the lesson plan, the poem by Sonia Sanchez, and we would read the poem with everyone, and we kind of would reflect and grab different lines that stood out to people, and we would talk about them and what the lines meant to us. Then we would have these different prompts that we can go through and figure out which one you really connect with and what really leads you to the words that you want to speak.
Yeah, and to go along with that, just the experience of that, being able to sit with people who we don't personally know, but like actually sit and explore art, like a piece of art, a beautiful piece of art by Sonia Sanchez. And really, like Risha said, we sat through and picked out like different stanzas or lines that really stood out to us. And then seeing them like pull it in and then be able to almost act as alchemists and spew it back out in their own interpretation. It was awesome, especially like people who was like, I don't even write. I'm not a writer. And like they come with the best work out of the workshop. So yeah, it was a really good experience to be a part of.
Khalil, I love that you said that they acted as alchemists. And the poem that Georgie put into the chat, the platform, the website for this project, inspired by a poem by Sonia Sanchez called "This Is Not a Small Voice," and on that website you'll be able to view the gallery of responses, what poems people have created, and short little reflections from the workshops with Risha and Khalil. And it's not a small voice, I promise you. So thank you both. We hope that you'll share as we do our open mic as well, other work. We have 3 people that have signed up in advance to read tonight. Kelly Harris, Leisha Harsh, and Ephraim Nehemiah. And Professor Okanta reached out to many of these are alumni. I think all 3 of those are correct, Okanta. They are alumni from the Department of Pan-African Studies here at Kent State.
Yes, they are. Some of our illustrious alumni
who have gone on to
yes.
share their voices. So what I think what we can propose is we begin with the 3 of those folks reading in that order, 3 to 4 minutes each, and with any kind of comments, and then please put into the chat if you'd like to read. And what I'll do is be keeping track of people that say they would like to read, and we can queue up another 3 or 4 readers. Does that sound? I think that sounds like a good plan. And Vince Robinson is here to read as well.
Yes, another alum.
Wonderful. So let's add Vince to be our 4th reader after Ephraim. So Kelly, so when it's your turn to read, just turn your mic on, and would love to. We're so glad you're here. R.C. Wilson would like to read. So I'm keeping track. We'll have R.C. read after Vince. So we have Kelly, then Licia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then Ephraim, Vince, and then R.C.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. I bring you greetings from New Orleans. It is so good to be with you all. As you all were talking, I was thinking of being a student myself and being invited to a dinner with Wick Poetry. I think it was Edgewish, Decat was there. And so it's good to see you, David. It's always good to see Baba. And yeah, true to what Baba said, poetry is how we connected. And so I'm so glad to be here and glad to be invited. I'm going to read a poem from my new book, shameless plug, but it's called Migration, My Family by Cleveland. And living in the South has made me really think a lot about, I've learned more about myself now that I can see migration from the other end. Left your land for a job, that same Southern job. The always job of surviving white folks. Working hard ain't never impressed them. Why a farmer like you go north? The land is hitched to steel and tight-lipped mornings. No elbow room for joy, no time to rock the earth asleep. Had a porch, a pulpit then, stories sprouted from dirt and spirit. Here ain't by the riverside. Don't flow back to ancient gospels. God is a check here. Remember those clockless days when soil called you to work? I reckon it's worth leaving the land if heaven is up, away from cotton, away from the wrong white people hoping to find the right ones. Maybe up there, clan fires fade in rear view, trees dangle the weight of snow. How'd you learn to live in the cold and rude and disrespect? They don't sip nothing sweet up here. They lynch us slow over time, brick by brick into heavy breathers of smoke and polite anger. I weep for all the times the Navy called you boy, all the middle fingers you should have raised, all the labor, half the paycheck, all the white flight that left big city rats eating the floorboards, nailed from your knees, your blood in the wood, your blood in the wood have been. I live the same two-step blues of kinfolks made in the Delta, integrated with white children whose parents were the white people that niggered you. How many miles did you travel to be more than fractions of a dream? Grandpa, did you ever cross the Dixie again in your sleep? Did you ever bring America home?
Kelly, you want to read one more?
Sure, I'm sorry. This is for all the people struggling in a pandemic. What song shall we sing now? What song shall we sing now that now is all we have? We know the hum of sparrows and hushed harbors. This life has no shorthand. I write these poems knowing each word is not enough flowers for the dead or the living. I pull memories like apples from trees, taste the sweetness of yesterday, chew wisdom from elders kissing my cheek. I see children in front yards, smell Sunday dinners, echoes of tambourines still fill this temple. The glory of our everydayness turned cold. What songs shall we sing now? Sorrow pins itself like a corsage. We dance with memories and tender hope while the world is swollen with rage. What is the temperature on your tongue? What new versions of ourselves must we make to survive? What songs shall we sing now over the dead and the days we can't breathe back? Can you preach yourself out of the blues? I said, can you preach yourself out of the blues? We weary people been wading water and worry for lifetimes. This is not a depression poem. Pray for me, but this is not a depression poem. This is a psalm. This is for Zion. This is for suffering, for people I could only touch in a square of newspaper. For the distance between mama and me, for the dead that died alone, funerals on phones, students dying for hugs and recess, the poor having less and less, who zooming, who driving by, waving through windows. I want to read your lips and know you're okay. This is for the sudden shock of you got it, and for people who say, I'm not religious, but pray for me. This is a scream to our government rolling over our flesh and land. This is a warm prayer with no answers. What song shall we sing now? I reach past the tears in my throat for a miracle, There must be a song in this valley, a sermon somewhere in a newborn. Must be joy coming in the morning. Even when we are mourning, we are alive. Even when we are mourning, we are alive. And that is bread given to us this day. Oh Lord, just give us this day.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you, Kelly. We're in the presence of
Thank
poetry.
you.
Licia is our next reader.
Greetings. It's Leisha. The I's just working as an H, but my scribe is L.A. Harsh. So I will be doing a poem titled When the Poets Speak. They were both healers and sacred, with the heartbeat of 1,000 African drums. Never master or slave, their rhyme human, their rhythm godly. Through their journeys, much had been forsaken, oftentimes losing sight of their God-given gifts, getting lost along the sea, often caught in the currents of other people's misery. Basking in self-doubt is usually when the creator appears. The poets come armed, equipped with pen to paper, standing before a nation, weeping the tears of souls who have lost treasures untold, silently laying their womb and manhood upon the altar as sacrifice, losing child after child after child, screaming Black Lives Matter to those who hear the least, requesting Jehovah Most High to protect these streets. The Creator would oblige, intervening only per our request, breathing a praise of brokenness that would never truly be reset, even if they did acknowledge it. Slowing the pace with their words as only the healers can, settling the fears of a scarred land. They light the incense and they burn the sage, smudging the Palo Santo sacred wood from stage to stage. They reek of pine, lemon, and mint. You can't help but get caught up in a poet's scent. Like smoke, their words drive away the stench of this land, setting the intent of fire of every parent's prayer. Spirits pausing in our stillness, offering 8 minutes of silence, releasing our sacred tribal anthems upon all the world's ungodly despair. Remembering this place whose child we are and whom we were brought here to serve. Balancing this nation's chakras, removing all things toxic that we can no longer bear, because our words are benevolent when we share. Bathing you in the warmth of essential oils from our ancient past, finding our way back to a collective algorithm that can finally make sense of this senselessness. Calmly restoring the wealth and wellness of our tribes, forsaken voices partially brought back to life in countless hashtags. Once more, we shall break bread as we scream and demand, hashtag say her name, lest we forget. This culture that we refuse to be produced by, trying not to get lost or whitewash in the BLM effect. I hear the echoes of our ancestors' rhythmic request. I'm Black and I'm proud, then say it loud. As the souls make their way to the house of the ancestors, I know they are breathing life upon us as they inhale the nectar of our words. For we are the fruit of the Crosby tree, from the land of Oscar Ritchie, that Department of Pan-African Studies. We are the poets, the true oracles, your griots, our children's historians, the teller of stories upheld, giving this nation strength to release all that ails. As they feast upon our essence like pearls before swine, when the poets speak, the divine come out. This poem is dedicated to a true griot, my professor with respect, Baba Okanta.
Thank you, Lisa.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Ephraim is our next reader. He
might not be here, yes.
I think he said he was coming late. So Vince Robinson is our next reader.
Let me just say that I'm blown away by the two poets who came before me. Kelly Harris, who I watched grow from an 18-year-old brilliant young poet to the woman that she is now. And Leisha, you got me, you got me. And then to the brother who made all of this possible, Baba Okanta. Baba, I'm wearing my Batakari in honor of you, Brother Yao, Baba Yao. And one of my good friends today, I bequeathed upon him the name Yao too, because he was born a year after me, a day before me on April 3rd. So I'm so honored to be here. And I have a poem that I wrote this morning. So you know how it is when you're a poet and you got new ink, fresh ink. It doesn't even have a title yet, but I'm gonna let it roll. Here we go. Welcome to Studio C, home of the extraterrestrial brother, dealer of funky concepts, guaranteed to infect your mind with truth and counterintelligence. Coming to you directly from the mothership, 500,000 kilowatts of uncut funk from the trunk of a spaceship designed to expand your mind. So kick back, dig while we bring this message to your interstitial receptors of divine transmission. Feelers of mission-oriented music that will resurrect your soul from the depths of mass media misalignment, uplifting your ancestral energy with the urgency of a pandemic emergency and the power to transform your being into cosmic excellence that knows no limits, transcending planetary orbits, blending melanin with Afrocentric precision and masculine feminine vision that liberates masses from classes of pre-planned obsolescence into success that blesses, reversing the curses that have immersed us in the rehearsed verses of sentences and words and intentions that fill prisons with innocent men and women with Black and brown skin, now going into soul depths to liberate themselves from the cells of external manipulation, finding the peace within, creating a Marcus Mosiah Garvey reality and a truly free mentality of universal proportions in the 21st century. Not tomorrow, but today. Real-time ministry at play in the game of life on planet Earth. Can you feel me? Dig these words. Let that instigate change in your brain that takes the shackles off the wrists and ankles that restrict interplanetary travel. Move. Let the music motivate your person to take action and gain traction that moves you from the rock you cling to in the river of survival to find your ability to the thrive that you thrive in well downstream, unstuck from the perils of complacence and submission to a status quo that continues to subject you to the pricks and wounds of compliance and reliance on malicious agendas. Syrupy, sweet genocide served with burgers and fries, paralyzed minds, televised. De-evolution prevents revolution, hypnotized. Dancing with the stars in a trance that distracts to an action that gives satisfaction to the hypnotist who knows this dream will end when you wake up from the spell you're under and find true self, able to manifest destiny, discovered in the blissful place of the darkness where nothing lives but the light that defines who you really are. Dust from the heavens above that comprises heaven below when you make the connection to resurrection, attainable with self-control and your ability to influence outcomes with your distinct brand of solar power. Let me make you gain control and loosen the stranglehold of fear. Mind free, whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
All right, Vince.
Ephraim has arrived. We'll go back now to Ephraim and then to R.C. Wilson after Ephraim.
Bad. Thank you. What's good, y'all? Seeing so many familiar faces I ain't seen in so long. So I'm grateful to be in the space and be able to share. I guess I'll just get to the point. So I grew up the brand of poor. We don't ask our parents for money. Our parents ask us. I remember counting down the days till I turned 16 because it meant I could legally make my own money. In high school, my whole check spent before I clocked in. I made just enough to keep the lights on in the fridge, but not enough to put food in it. My first time helping with the bills, though, I was 7 years old. Spent summers scanning concrete for loose change to feed my piggy bank, just for a surprise expense to have my parents saying, "We gonna pay you back." And how? When stable housing is in an on-again, off-again relationship with my family, we were staying in my uncle's broken down van till Deacon Lowe took us in, then kicked us out. Now we at my auntie's with a new job. I witnessed my cousin walk into the kitchen, grab some food, devour it without asking a single soul for permission. And that's when I found out some folks grew up eating food whenever they was hungry. But I'm older now, and freshmen are swapping childhood stories. I get to talking, and I notice awkward walks into the room. I'm expecting relatability, and I'm served misguided sympathy like I'm the only one whose family is under the poverty line. So I take the same tale to an open mic. I see skin like mine, and I think we about to kick it. Till I realize these are the bank accounts you bring up to prove poverty culture and Black culture ain't the same thing. So I try to escape the stares of pity, cover it up with a, hey! I mean, we learned how to make a way out of no way, though. I mean, I may be broke, but I ain't broken. I ain't even broke for real. I'm just in between blessings right now. I casually talk about my life, and it sounds like change rattling in a cup. I make it seem like none of it fazed me, and it sounds like a lie coiled around my mouth, and I'm to blame for code switching into a higher tax bracket. Learned all these new words and pronunciations and new looks just so I could fit in with these new friends. Don't even be wanting to relate to my childhood, but I'm so defined by the lack, I feel like I lose myself by gaining something like, who am I when I leave this pitiless past behind? I ask. Like I'm actually in a position to, trying to remember where I came from before going anywhere. But what is being broke if not imagining being rich? Because truth be told, I hate these rich niggas. But man, what I wouldn't do to be rich, nigga. How am I supposed to love the past that made me if I'm constantly running away from it? I know full and well what capitalism does to its poor, but don't tell my activist friends that I've been trying to get a taste of it before we abolish it. I'm just tired of surviving, man. I don't ever want to be broke again. So go on and ask me, what will it profit someone to gain the whole world and lose their soul? I don't know, but I've been dying to find the answer. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ephraim. R.C. Wilson.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I organize off-campus poetry readings in the Kent community at the Last Exit bookstore. We're Zooming now like the rest of the world, but we'll be back there. And I just want to offer up an invitation to everybody here to come around there. Your voices would be good for that reading, and I love hearing you tonight. I'm going to do a couple poems, if that's all right. Nothing too long. Rhythm and blues. When God said, "Let there be light," what if he said it with drums? Tablas, a djembe, talking drums. Not much need for a material universe without rhythm. Maybe before the Big Bang, there was a tone, an ohm, a root, a drone. You could call it silence. I suppose. There being no space and all, but a feeling. No, start again. We'll need 2 tones, and 3 would be better. It's not the music of the sphere. You need spheres. A note can't be blue without interval. Not sweet, not sour. It's sweet and sour. Maybe before the Big Bang was a holy trinity of tones, just waiting for God, just waiting as God. God the triad, heart of God, mind of God, ear of God. When God said, "Let there be light," he said it with drums, and he heard that it was good. Thank you, silent applauders. This poem is called Black Poets Matter. Uncle Sam needs black poets. America may not think so, but America needs to hear them. White poets need to hear black poets. America needed to hear James Baldwin. William F. Buckley Jr. needed to hear James Baldwin say Black Lives Matter. Uncle Sam needs gay poets. Gay poets sing loud. Your country needs you. America needed to hear Ginsberg howl. America didn't think so. America thought he was obscene. America needed to howl with Ginsberg. America needs gay poets. Uncle Sam needs lesbian poets. Lesbian poets come forth. Your country needs you. Uncle Sam needs Latvian poets. Uncle Sam needs Mexican poets. Uncle Sam needs Syrian poets. Uncle Sam needs refugee poets. Uncle Sam needs Native American poets. Uncle Sam needs poets with PTSD, survivors of trauma. Sing out. Your country needs you. Uncle Sam needs poets who stutter. Uncle Sam needs dyslexic poets. Uncle Sam needs pregnant 12-year-old poets. Uncle Sam needs deaf poets. America needs your sign language poems. Uncle Sam needs blind poets. Uncle Sam needs hyperactive poets. Uncle Sam needs prison poets. Uncle Sam needs illiterate poets. Uncle Sam needs poems from the last speaker of a dying language. Uncle Sam needs poems from the first speaker of a new language. Uncle Sam needs you.
Yes.
Thank you, RC.
That's probably enough. I'd do another one, but you might have some other people waiting. So thank you. If you put your email in the chat or something, I'd be happy to add you to our list. Anybody that wants to read in downtown Kent in the misty future. Thanks.
And it's the third Friday of every month.
Yes.
Correct? Open reading, open mic. Thank you, RC. We have two more readers signed up, and please, if you want to read, send it in the chat or raise your hand. But our next reader will be R. Chanel, and then we're going to have Tina Marie read.
Greetings, everyone. Can everybody hear me? The poem that I'm going to read is actually from my collection. I have music available, or poetry available on Spotify, available on Amazon, and I actually have a poetry collection of books available on Etsy. The poem I'm reading is called No Allegiance. I don't pledge allegiance to a flag because it never pledged allegiance to me. For the past week, I've awakened angry. My allegiance is to the one that gave his blood, not take blood. I won't take my hat off. I refuse to utter those words. The only reason why I stand is to stretch my legs, improving the circulation. I like the Star Spangled Banner song, the Whitney Houston version. My ancestors chose to sacrifice their lives, even when the military was segregated. When the smoke cleared, no matter the skin color, all of the blood that was shed was red. I live in an at-will state, the city part, that uses streetlights, where my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness can be sold if the price is right. Country police question me for working while Black. I lack any sympathy. I won't pledge allegiance to a flag because it never pledged allegiance to me. Many of these professional football players have bachelor's degrees, masters, and doctorates. The shut up and play mentality treats them like a slave trade or a meat market. I enjoy the protests. That's what my uncles fought for. Let their voice count. Let them use their platform. I've had white men sit on the side of the road, waiting until I get off of work and attempting to kill me because I'm one less Blackie trying to live the American dream. I live and love this neighborhood, but I'm not attracted to the drug dealers. I'm okay with rejecting the druggies, pill poppers, and weed heads and drunkards. How dare I not allow society to objectify, sexualize, and degrade me, a human being? I won't pledge allegiance to the flag because it never pledged allegiance to me. Thank you.
Wow, that's deep.
Thank you. Tina Marie, would you read us a poem? And then we'll have Isaiah Hunt read. You're on mute, Tina.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. Sure, I'll read. My poetic name is the Blue Fox, so I go by the Blue Fox in this space. So the Blue Fox will be reading 2 poems to you. I actually have 3, but I don't know. I am every woman, mighty and tight, able to hold my own if I have to fight. No real need when you have divine sight. I'm every woman, dynamic and bright, so much so a blind man sees the light. I'm every woman, humble and loving. Anything I pull from my oven will soothe you, honey. I'm every woman full of life, that so I choose I can make everything all right. I can dress and look in so many ways. No matter what, I'm still a woman on any given day. I am sweet, I am kind, and I enjoy peace of mind. I'm every woman that has performed, accomplished many things, even some of my masculine counterparts have done. Worked hard, played many sports, and won. Very much a woman when I was done. Still made time to play before the end of the day. Youthful, yes, my inner child still yearning inside. Yes, every woman still learning to ride on eagle wings and glide to be protected on all sides. I don't like nonsense strife because there's no real reason not to have a good night. Be in serenity and on a smooth flight. So no matter what is said, no one pays my bills or makes my bed. I don't care who gives a say, I'm every woman. So give way, because baby, I'm here to stay. I want to read this poem. I told David I'd read it. He hadn't heard it. So we'll just go with it. Today I die with greater moment, places, things, new loves, creativity, yearning to be born. Today I die because a new horizon has risen over me. I choose to die to bury this person I thank for gracefully getting me to this point. The person who has prepared me for this time of transformation, this time of releasing, letting go, for this time to lie down, to be covered, to recover. I who have experienced and endured great pain on all sides, rose above it because I wanted to restore my wings so I could learn how to fly again. I died today, giving the grace to the old so it may return to the ground from which I came. Those old seeds recultivated and nurtured with and treated with the love I always deserved. You see, this time I grow free, unadulterated, undomesticated, rising to the occasion. unrestricted by the lies, unfounded cultures, I grow in truth. I die today unrevealing the real me into the dirt, into a new universe. From the dirt into a new universe, there's no such thing as a curse. I hear my inner voice, I hear God, there's no other choice, I must die to stay alive. This journey, this saga must end. There's a new story my creator wants me to begin. So I must die to release these lies that have been embedded inside. I'm buying myself from the domestication of this world to create a new one, and with the one in which we all reside. As well, the sun and the moon will remain the same, and the stars. But this being, I will not be the same. Here in this new world, there's no one to blame. So I rise with new eyes to see, a new mind to creatively create, and a new body to do new things. And I'm glad if I have touched you. Today I died to rise. Amen.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Blue Fox. Our next reader is Isaiah Hunt.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Yeah, first of all, I do want to thank Dorisha and Khalil for such awesome workshops. The ones that I were there for, they were very powerful. They really helped me, really get back into poetry as well. So thank you, Dorisha, and thank you, Khalil, for your words. And I really like that there was an outlet too for all of us to talk about these things. I think that matters more than anything, creating a dialogue between us about, what's been going on in this world. I want to start off by reading a poem from the workshop, and then I'll read one that I just created today. This one is just based off of the prompt, This is a Love. This is a love that is silent but ever present, like a mother holding a child within her womb. It's a love that we can call our own, like the first man who called the sun his son. It's a love that, when broken down, brings us back to the first times we sat down by campfires and listened to everyone's songs. So that was one of my prompts. This one is a new one. It's called All Y'all Ancestors Were Black. All y'all ancestors were Black. Imagine how they'd feel then to realize their own voices were being used as a weapon against them. Your ancestors' words were used to build the first foundations of civilizations, shape reality through the dimensions of their tongue, and you have the audacity to act like you've made these words yours. Maybe I should put things into perspective. Imagine how you'd feel if your descendants used their voice as a weapon to curse you, berate you, call you every slur in the book, hunt you down the streets like urban gang, whispering among themselves in each alley that you don't belong here. You try to convince them that you've been here just as long as them, and they just laugh, keep treating you like the smallest problem with the biggest of issues. Perhaps you need a little bit more convincing. What if the whole planet itself stood against you, ran you from your homes, tackled your communities with tornadoes and hurricanes, demanding to know what you're doing on its front porch, screaming you're no longer welcomed here? Every street, all that blood on the road falls apart. All its forests screaming at you to go back home. This is my home, you say, but it just laughs and continue to brush you off like a small little tick you are on its skin. What could you do? What would you do? Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Our next reader is Khalil, and then we'll have Michelle Rankins, and then we'll close with Professor Okanta.
Hey everybody, again, I'm Khalil. Shout out to you, Isaiah. That was really raw. Thank everybody. I thank all of y'all for being able to come here and share. Thank you, alumni. Thank you, community members. I really appreciate y'all coming for the final Ruha. So I'm gonna share two with y'all today. One is I would say my version of Sonia Sanchez's "This Is Not a Small Voice," and then I have another poem that I wrote that I feel is necessary to read right now. But okay. This is not a small voice you hear. This is a voice that removes the rain from clouds, a voice that claps at thunder and reminds it to be silent. This voice is not a rainbow, however, it is a pot of gold. The sunshine that bathes the earth and bakes the springtime trees into colorful bloomings. This voice is heard from fields to factories, from roots to ruins, from the roots of ruins to the branches of the fruits of riches. This is the voice of nations unheard, yet unhinged and unhindered. We are unmoved. Our voice be stone. We will still yell until ears are bleeding and tongues are just as enraged as ours. Until justice is engulfed by our power. This is not a weak love we harbor. This is a love as strong as the winter winds that pushed ourselves to freedom, pushed ourselves to a new foundation. This is not a small voice. This is a voice that taught volcanoes how to erupt, a tongue made of magma, teeth born to grit and grind. This voice is meant to guide the townspeople to shelter. Despite the rain and tears shed, just like this love, this voice will spread open like umbrellas and safety will be shared. This is a love that knows pain, but it does not hide at the sight of needles. This is a love that knows the needs of its people, so it will kneel with pride and put a nation on its back. This love is the voice of nations of now and forever, of voices of now, of voices of never and always. And that's that piece. But yeah, I got one more. And yeah, this one is called Silence. Thank y'all. Birds scattered in the middle of the field like a high school football team does when they yell break. Only this time, the noise isn't the crowd cheering or the flagrant fun or the feet of young boys chopping and twisting, switching through holes trying to get to the touchdown. It's a gun, and then blank silence. And this time, it isn't a ball he holds in his shoulder, it's a bullet. And this time, it isn't a white officer using another black body for target practice. It's his brother, his homie, who he used to go to Mr. Man's corner store with to get ices and hot flamers with cheese. This time, it doesn't make the national news. It actually doesn't make the news at all. As a matter of fact, there was no trial because there was no jury, because there was no persecution at all. 48 hours in the city moves as fast as vapor. The precinct barely had time to get his name on paper. His mother will never know who killed her baby. Her baby will always remember who killed his dreams. His killer will always remember how a park of 49 people will empty out faster than a clip of 9 bullets. It only took one with the smug look on the gunman's face to get everyone to start running. It only took 5, along with the hung look on the victim's face, to hear the cries of the culprit. It only took 7 for 2 to miss and hit the wrong target. A kid, another black boy, 2 birds, 1 stone. They'll never fly again. They'll never soar higher than the t-shirts their family members will wear in remembrance of them, holding their smiles and faces forever in time. This time, there will be no riots. There will be no corner stores or gas stations going up in flames. In fact, there will be no remembered names, no hashtags, no posters, no signs, no news articles with quoted lines about human rights. This time, there will only be this poem, his eulogy. Rest easy.
Thank you, Khalil. We have 2 more readers this evening. We have Michelle Rankins, and then we want to close with Professor Watabu Okanta. Michelle?
Hello, everyone. Greetings. That was a powerful poem, by the way. So thank you for sharing that. It's good to be here. Kent State alum, class of 90, Pan-African Studies minor as well. So good to be here. You know, Kelly and I have just been talking, you know, since Professor Dean Moore passed and Doc passed. Their energy has just been on all of us. So this poem I'm going to read isn't an original, but it's one that I really like, and it's by Jane Cortez, and it's called There It Is. My friend, they don't care if you're an individualist, a leftist, a rightist, a shithead, or a snake. They will try to exploit you, absorb you, confine you, disconnect you, isolate you, or kill you. And you will disappear into your own rage, into your own insanity, into your own poverty, into a word, a phrase, a slogan, a cartoon, and then ashes. The ruling class will tell you there is no ruling class, as they organize their liberal supporters into white supremacist lynch mobs, organize their children into Ku Klux Klan gangs, organize their police into killer cops, organize their propaganda into a device to ossify us with angel dust, preoccupy us with Western symbols and African hairstyles, inoculate us with hate, institutionalize us with ignorance, hypnotize us with a monotonous sound designed to make us evade reality and stomp our lives away. And we are programmed to self-destruct, to fragment, to get buried under covert intelligent operations of intelligent committees impulsed toward death, and there it is. The enemies polish their penises between oil wells at the Pentagon. The bulldozers leap into demolition dances. The old folks dying of starvation. The informers wearing out shoes looking for crumbs. The lifeblood of the earth almost dead in the greedy mouth of imperialism. And my friend, they don't care if you're an individualist, a leftist, a rightist, a shithead, or a snake. They will spray you with the virus of Legionnaire's disease, fill your nostrils with the swine flu of their ignorance, their arrogance, stuff your body into a tampon of toxic stock syndrome. Try to pump all of the resources of the world into their own veins and fly off into the wild blue yonder to pollute another planet. And if we don't fight, if we don't resist, if we don't organize and unify and get the power to control our own lives, then we will wear the exaggerated look of captivity, the stylized look of submission, the bizarre look of suicide, the dehumanized look of fear, the decomposed look of repression forever and ever and ever. And there it is. Thank you. Jane Cortez.
Thank you, Michelle. So what a reading tonight. We'd like to close with Baba Okanta, our beloved professor, mentor, friend for so many of us here. You know, I want to say, do a big shout out right now that Professor Okanta was just honored earlier this evening with the Great Lakes Black Authors Expo Lifetime Achievement Award, the Alice Dunbar Nelson Literary Achievement Award. And one of the many ways to honor Baba Okanta. Close us out, Professor.
Wow. Whoa, this is amazing. I'm in mother hen mode, just listening to some of my former students, and I thank them, because, you know, as teachers, we're only as good as our students who allow us to teach them. you know, the piece with Sonia Sanchez. I met her for the first time right in Oscar Ritchie Hall. Michelle just mentioned Jane Cortez. I taught in the English department at Livingston College for a year and a half, and she was one of my colleagues.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I've been blessed.
Oh,
I want to
wow.
thank all of the poets. You dropped a lot of black light that will help guide us through white darkness. I have 3 poems that I'd like to share. One is called The Real Illegals. Funny how some folk don't want to know the true American story. Europeans hijacked this continent and claimed it in spite of the people who were already here. Say they discovered them, no less, at the point of a gun. Who is the real criminal? Who is the real illegal alien? Maybe the original peoples should have built a wall. A poem called Cruelty. I wrote this in response to a drawing by John Carlson called Cruelty. Hands up, don't shoot. A new call from a new generation. I can't breathe. In this country, Black lives have never really mattered. American history is what it is. From slave auctions to Black Wall Street, from East St. Louis to Ferguson, from Jasper to San Juan, broken lives and recycled lies. Why? Things change while things stay the same. Toxic fear is the menace that is never far away. It festers up close, personal. It imprisons our minds. Have to wake up to stay woke. Spiritual sickness is the real dis-ease. No compassion, no joy, no soul, no love. Cruelty is as cruelty does. Cruelty is alive. Cruelty is old. And a new poem. It's called Hypocrisy. King said he'd been to the mountaintop, said he'd seen the promised land. But what promise? What land? Another video? How many more Black people have to go dead? Blue knee on neck of handcuffed George Floyd. No, not bullet shot through Breonna Taylor's door. Armed police always say they are afraid after they make war. Afraid of what? Afraid of who? Fear is the mask they wear to disguise the demons lurking deep inside the private corners of their nights. Is their fear real or is it imagined? Dis-ease or rabid dog rage? How many more injustices will it take? Is justice blind or is she just blindfolded? Or is it just the same old America turning stark Black truth into same old white lies? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Baba Okanta.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Georgie. Thank you, Khalil. Thank you, Risha, Dr. Gooden. And thank the poets. It's a time for poets.
It is indeed. And what a reading. This is not a small voice tonight. And we need to amplify and put these voices out to work in our
Yes, we need to
community.
do it again and again.
And again and again. I encourage you all to check out the readings in Kent, third Friday downtown, and also all the readings and workshops upcoming with Wick Poetry Center on our events.travelingstanzas.com. Thank you all for coming. What an incredible evening. And again, Risha and Khalil, thank you for leading these workshops and leading this whole effort for Black Voices Matter. Thank you to the both of you.